everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer. It's opening day of the 2023 Delaware Park racing season, and our race of the day for Wednesday, May the 24th, is race number 5. It is a 1.70-yard maiden special weight. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Let's take a look at this field. Please click or scan the QR code for race of the day access on your mobile devices, including free Formulator Pass performances. This race is the kickoff race of a 50-cent pick 4. The number 1 Woody is entered main track only, so we'll focus mostly on horses 2 through 11. The morning line favorite of those is the number 4 Lusty, who ran really well in her debut for a very hot barn.
Yeah, it kind of feels like if she comes back in her second start and just, learned a couple of lessons from that first effort there, Dan, that she could be really, really tough in this race, because not only did she run well there, but she showed really good speed.
Perfect segue to our Timeform US pace projector for the Wednesday race of the day. And there she is, the number 4 Lusty, expected to be on the lead after the first half mile. Now, you'll note the LP flag on the 6, Gypsy Queen, who is relatively close to the leader on our pace projector. The LP flag indicates that Gypsy Queen has the fastest late pace rating, but these are lightly raced horses that are improving all the time.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see, how much Gypsy Queen can improve. We'll see even if Lusty can take a step forward off the debut, Dan. If nothing else, I just feel like Lusty's kind of found herself in the right kind of a field, just based on what everybody else has done as far as the experienced horses go. There are a couple of interesting first-time starters in here, though.
Let's start talking about the number 2. She's Like Thunder. The number 1 Woody is entered main track only. She's Like Thunder was 1,000,000 to 1, and she finished second in the Salima last year on turf. So she's golden as a broodmare. Now they want to get her a win. She didn't really run back to that form in a 2022 campaign that only saw her run 3 times. Her race last time out of Colonial, I know she didn't run well. It was 1.25 miles. I'll just throw that race out. The time before, I was disappointed.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Dan, because I kind of feel the same way about her. Like, I guess they were just trying something a little different in her most recent start, maybe because she's been relatively disappointing since that Salima. If I give her a pass for that, though, I don't like the race that she ran right before it. Even off the layoff there, she picked up some pieces. That was a sprint, so maybe she just really needed that race. I don't know, man. Ever since that Salima, it's not like she's done anything that great before that race either, Dan. And since then, she just hasn't really taken any kind of a step forward.
But she has that 2-year-old form back in 2021 and a little bit of tactical speed. She'll probably show some fresh speed off of the layoff. The 3 is Dazzling DD, one of 2 first-time starters in this race, trained by the great Graham Motion. Dazzling DD's by Bernardini. I'm not a big fan of Bernardini's on the turf. Only 4% with first-time turf runners, 10% with all debut runners, but there is some turf on the bottom of this pedigree. The second Dan Badangan was very good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess you have to concern yourself with the Bernardini a little bit. He's more of a sort of a modest turf sire at best. That's concerning. This horse is really bred on the bottom, though, Dan. This is a really, really strong pin oak family on the bottom, and there's a lot of turf in there. This dam, has one other winning foal so far. That foal was a debut winner and also a winner routing on the grass. So I don't know. I feel like there are things to get behind here. We talk about Graham Motion a lot. He does just about everything well. Doesn't win a lot with a lot of horses like this. Past 5 years, first-time starters in turf routes, he's 3 for 96. And you're just getting crushed at the windows if you're betting these horses. I will just point out, though, Dan, of those 3 winners over the last 5 years, 2 were last year. So maybe he's starting to get a little bit better at this.
Dam also won twice on the turf. So Mike's right. There is some turf on the bottom of this pedigree. This one's by Bernardini. Some steady workouts at Graham's Fair Hill base. We'll see. That first out stat for Graham is not very good, though, 3 for 96. The 4 is Lusty. Let's watch her debut for Brittany Russell. Going just about everything in Maryland recently, and Lusty showed good speed, set a legitimate pace. 46 and change going to the half in a career debut at 1 mile, I think is very solid. And she's going to run second in here behind a motion train runner with more experience, a favorite that would come back to run third in a first level allowance Preakness weekend with a pretty solid 75 buyer.
Yeah, and Lusty was also, Dan, that's a field of 11. She was the only first-time starter in that field. And she went right to the lead. She did not walk up there. She was moving right along. The winner there, who you can see there in the stretch run, the winner was just better than this horse and overtook her. But it's not like Lusty just, totally quit in there and stopped trying. I mean, she did not really give in that race and held on for a second. I thought she ran really well.
And number 5 is Perfectly Golden. As much as I'm not a big fan of the Bernardinis on turf, well, I feel the same way about the Painters. He wins about 5% first turf, but this filly is a 0.5-to-1 turf winner. The dam went 0 for 3 on the turf. The form on the dirt is okay down at Oaklawn. Maybe the thing that makes her most interesting is first-time Jamie Ness, Jamie Rodriguez.
Yeah, I looked at that too. So we'll see if that makes any kind of a difference. It's not like that. It's not like this filly was in some 2 other barns before this, so they couldn't win races. More than anything else, Dan, I don't like her dirt form, and I found 0 turf pedigree to make me think she's going to be better on the turf.
Number 6 is Gypsy Queen. Now, she made her debut down at the fairgrounds. All things considering, she ran just fine. She didn't break weight. She ended up finishing 3rd behind the 2 favorites. She ran in the Lusty race that we just saw. She didn't take a lot of money in that race. She didn't really run very well. Now she's getting blinkers for the first time for a very strong trainer.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if she can improve at all in here, Dan. Personally, I get that on paper she's not that hard to make a case for against this field. I didn't think she ran well in either of her first 2 starts. She did absolutely nothing last time behind Lusty. She had a good trip in that race, saving tons of ground. She just didn't run. Even in her fairgrounds trips, I thought she got a good trip there. I know she was a first-time starter. The winner wired the field. This horse easily could have been second there, though, and she just didn't do enough to get it.
The number 7 is Appealing to the Eye. I won't be surprised if she shows a little bit of stretch out speed here. She's been up close to the pace in her sprint race. It's one thing to consider when you're watching on the simulcast. Following this filly from Maryland, she gets very antsy and fractious in the post parade in the paddock right behind the gate. So keep an eye on that. First time turf, the Masteries, only 6% winners first time on the grass. The dam is a 0.5-to-a stakes winning turf runner. Not enough turf, though, to get me too interested.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I didn't really love her pedigree. They're also going to stretch her out for the first time here. That's not really supposed to be an issue, but it's still just another obstacle for her to overcome. I, just didn't like her form enough, Dan, to get really interested unless she had some kind of pedigree that made me feel like she's going to be way better on this surface, and I didn't see it.
The number 8 is Kaki's Tap Dancer. This horse has raced 4 times for trainer Michael Matz, has been a big price on each occasion. Maybe didn't care for the soft turf here at Delaware last fall, then made 1 start during the Gulfstream Championship meet. Just didn't fire that day, was probably against a much tougher field. The winner of that race came back, earned a stakes placing in the Honey Rider at Gulfstream with a 76 buyer. Probably this is a good fit for her from a class standpoint.
Yeah, I looked at her that way too. I just feel like maybe they just found the right race to run her in finally. That being said, it feels like she can't be a great price in this race, Dan. And I wonder if this horse is any good at all. I mean, you mentioned that the soft turf race 2 starts back. To me, that's the only race where she was even remotely competitive. And maybe the surface just had everything to do with that, because her 3 races on firm turf, she was nowhere in those races.
Bring the Magic is the number 9. This horse ran pretty well last time out of a short layoff, returning to turf for trainer Tim Woolley, who does good work with his turf routers. This horse did get a pretty solid pace to run into that day, made up some late ground. It was against maiden waiver claimers down at Laurel. She was in for the tag. I think it's more of a lateral move, maybe a slight step up in class for Bring the Magic, but she has to improve from a speed figure standpoint.
Yeah, it just has to run way better than she's run in any of her races, and that includes the 2 turf starts. And you're right, though. I mean, she ran fine last time. She, passed a couple of horses late. It's not like she was flying, though, in a slow race. And another effort like that gets her nothing against this field.
The number 10 is Heavenly Appointed. Of the 2 Graham Motion Train first-time starters in this race, I prefer this one. This one's by Turf Champion, point of entry, 13% winners, all first-time starters, 15% winners, first-time turf. Heavenly Appointed is a 0.5 to Rocket Legs, who was graded stakes placed on turf. Kalavi Vari, who is a grade 1 stakes winning synthetic router. I looked at this. I've watched a few of these workouts on video, Mike, for Heavenly Appointed, and I was fairly impressed with her motion. I've been fairly impressed with the company she's kept. I think she actually might be pretty good. For me, the lone knock, though, is that Graham doesn't win with these kind of horses.
Yeah, exactly. That has to be a drawback. It does. It also kind of feels like, and we'll see how that all plays out, Dan. But it kind of feels like if either of these two motion firsters get bet, it's probably this one. And this one also has a post towards the far outside that could really work against her, I suppose. The pedigree's all there for her. I think obviously if you're just going to base it off of that, this is probably the horse that you would be most interested in. And I can't really argue too hard against it.
Flower Dew's up from Keeneland, where she was likely just in a little bit tough last time out against maiden special weight competition. The runner-up came back to run second again in an off-the-turf maiden special with a 65 Beyer speed figure. Her prior two races at the fairgrounds were good. She has a very tough outside post here. I wonder how much upside is left after 8 lifetime starts. I'm not sure I would take the 9-2 on the morning line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, if nothing else, the races 2 and 3 back, though, just give her a real chance in this race. I mean, it's not like she's in against a bunch of killers here. If these two motion firsters need to start, this filly really just has to sort of contend with Lusty, who will probably be on the lead. And if you watch her races, especially the ones at fairgrounds, I didn't really concern myself too much with the Keeneland race. Then I think that was too tough for her. The races at Keeneland, she got good trips in those races. She was very handy early also. I mean, they could have been closer to the pace that they wanted to be, and they just sort of took a hold of her to make sure they got over to save some ground. I think she's super dangerous in here. And I feel like if she's anything near that morning line price against this field, I think it's fair.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF video franchises. It's top pick time for our race of the day. It's opening day at Delaware Park. We both respect Grand Motion Train first-time starters. I picked the 10 Heavenly Appointed second. You're going with Dazzling DD, the Bernardini.
Yeah, I just like the way that this horse is bred, and I kind of feel like this is the one who will get lost in the shuffle if either of them can run, and that remains to be seen. I'm just going to hope that this filly's even just close to good, close to ready for this race. And maybe she's not 100%. I really don't think this is that strong a field. I think Lusty, the 4, will probably be pretty tough if she makes the lead again. I put her second. I'll try to beat her with the firster.
Kaki's Tap Dancer ran well over this course, albeit on soft going 2 starts back. I think she was just in a bit too tough off the layoff at Gulfstream last time out. I wish she'd shown me just a little bit more acceleration or anything in her races, but I think she fits at this level. I need her to drift off the morning line. I think the way I'd play this in the pick 4 is I would use the 4, the 8, and the 10. I'm really very interested in Heavenly Appointed. I think she's going to give a good account of herself. It's the Wednesday DRF race of the day. It's race number 5 with an approximate post time of 2:30 Eastern. Good luck.